Hello, hello students. This is Dr. Srinivas Keshetti. Uh, Welcome to the second session, Unit 2, Bonding in Solids. In this session, we are going to discuss ionic and covalent bonds. We are going to discuss the details about the ionic and covalent bond. What is meant by ionic bond? An ionic bond is formed by actual transfer of electrons from one atom to another atom so that each atom acquires a stable electronic configuration similar to nearest inert gas atom. So in case of ionic bond, when the ionic bond is formed between the two atoms, one atom transfers an electron to the another atom, isn't it? So that each atom acquires a stable electronic configuration like inert gas atoms. Which are the inert gas atoms? Helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, like that. And their outermost orbit is filled, isn't it? For helium, there are 2 electrons in the outermost orbit. Like neon, there are 8 electrons in the outermost orbit, like that, isn't it? So the outermost orbit or octet is completed. So in case of ionic bond also, there is actual transfer of electrons from one atom to another atom so that they acquire electronic configuration similar to nearest inert gas atom, isn't it? Nearest inert gas atom is the atom in the periodic table, the position, the nearest gas atom to this element in the periodic table. The atom which loses an electron becomes electropositive, and the atom which gains an electron becomes electronic. The atoms which loses an electron, which gives an electron, becomes electropositive. It is but natural. It loses one electron. So one positive charge is greater than the one negative charge. That is why it becomes electropositive, and the atom which gains electron becomes electronegative. So it has an excess of one electron as compared to number of protons. That is why it becomes electronegative. The ions arrange themselves in such a way that the Coulomb's attractive forces among the oppositely charged ions dominate over the Coulomb's repulsive forces among the ions of same sign, isn't it? These ions arrange themselves in such a way that Coulomb's attractive forces, isn't it? Coulomb's attractive forces among the oppositely charged ions, isn't it? Coulomb's attractive forces among the oppositely charged ions dominate over the Coulomb's repulsive forces among the ions of same sign. Thus, the source of cohesive energy which binds the ions together is mainly the Coulomb's electrostatic interaction. So the the source of cohesive energy, the energy which binds these atoms together, isn't it? Uh, is the Coulomb's electrostatic interaction. The crystal resulting from this type of interaction is called as ionic crystals. The crystals thus formed are called as ionic crystals, isn't it? Since after the transfer of electron, the ion attains electronic configuration similar to inert gas atoms. The charge distribution on the ions is spherically symmetric. So the charge distribution in the ions is spherically symmetric. Hence, ions of one type try to have as many neighbors of opposite types as possible. The coordination number of cation is limited by radius ratio of cation to anion, while the coordination number of anion is limited by charge neutrality condition of the crystal of the crystal must be maintained, so that the charge neutrality of the crystal must be maintained, isn't it? Coordination number, we have studied the what is meant by coordination number in the previous chapter. The number of atoms surrounding each atom is called as the coordination number, isn't it? So the coordination number of cation is limited by radius ratio of cation to anion, while the coordination number of anion is limited by charge neutrality condition. Charge neutrality is to be established of the crystal must be maintained. The cohesive energy of ionic crystal is in the range of 5 to 10 electron volt. This energy is quite high, isn't it? A good example of ionic crystal is the crystal of NaCl. We have studied in detail the structure of NaCl in the previous unit. The electronic configuration of Na and Cl atoms are as follows. Na, the atomic number is 11. The electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6 and 3s1. And chlorine, the atomic number is 17. The electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2 and 3p5. Isn't it? After the transfer of electron from 3s orbital of sodium to 3p orbital of chlorine, the electronic configuration becomes the electronic configuration of sodium ion, which has lost one electron, becomes 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, isn't it? So this electronic configuration is same as the electronic configuration of neon, isn't it? Neon, the atomic number is 10, and sodium, the atomic number is 11, and the nearest inner gas atom to sodium is neon. Similarly, chlorine is the after gaining one electron, the electronic configuration of chlorine becomes 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2 and 3p6, isn't it? So it is same as the electronic configuration of argon. Argon, the atomic number is 18, isn't it? And the atomic number of chlorine is 17, and the nearest inert gas atom to chlorine is argon, isn't it? So these two atoms acquire electronic configuration similar to the nearest inert gas atoms. As permitted by radius ratio rule, each sodium plus ion is surrounded by 6 chlorine minus ions, and each chlorine minus ion is surrounded by 6 Na plus ions to maintain charge neutrality condition. We have seen the coordination number of the opposite charged ions in case of NaCl structure. It is 6. The coordination number of each ion is 6. The binding energy of NaCl is 7.8 electron volt. Isn't it? It is quite high. Some of the examples of ionic crystals are lithium fluoride, potassium chloride, cesium chloride, Al2O3 and etc. Isn't it? So this gives the plan view. This gives the plan view of the NaCl structure. So each chlorine is surrounded by 6 sodium ions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the upper side 5, and from the lower side it is 6, isn't it? So each Na plus ion is surrounded by 6 chlorine minus ions. Similarly, each chlorine minus ion is surrounded by 6 Na plus ions, isn't it? So this is how the charge neutrality is maintained. It is a face-centered cubic structure. Properties of ionic crystals. What properties are exhibited by the crystals which are formed due to ionic bonds? They are generally hard and brittle. The crystals are hard and brittle. They possess high melting and boiling point because the binding energy is high. So they possess high melting and boiling point. At normal temperatures, they are poor conductors of electricity, isn't it? So at normal temperature, they are poor conductors of electricity because they acquire the electronic configuration similar to the electronic configuration of inert gas atoms. So the outermost orbit is full. There are no free electrons. That is why they are poor conductors of electricity. But the conductivity increases with increase in temperature. With increase in temperature, the conductivity increases. So as temperature is increased, few free charges are available. That is why the conductivity increases. The crystals are transparent to visible light. This type of crystals are transparent to visible light, and they are soluble in polar solvent like water, isn't it? So such type of crystals are soluble in polar liquids like water, isn't it? So this is all about the ionic bond. Now let us proceed to understand what is meant by a covalent bond. A covalent bond is formed by an equal sharing of electrons between two neighboring atoms, each having incomplete outermost shell. So two atoms or more than two atoms come closer to each other to share equal number of electrons. A covalent bond is formed by equal sharing of electrons. Two atoms may come together to share one electron each, or two atoms may come together to share two electrons each. Two atoms may come closer to share three electrons each, isn't it? So in this way they share equal number of electrons. So these atoms may be similar or dissimilar. Therefore, the covalent bond is formed by an equal sharing of electrons between two neighboring atoms, each having incomplete outermost shell. So these atoms have incomplete outermost shell. Their valency should be same. The atoms do so in order to acquire a stable electronic configuration. They share equal number of electrons with the other atom to acquire a stable electronic configuration in accordance with the octet rule. So in accordance with octet rule, these atoms share equal number of electrons with the neighboring atom. Unlike ionic bond, the atoms participating in the covalent bond have such electronic configuration that they cannot complete their octet by actual transfer of electrons from one atom to other atom. So these atoms, unlike ionic crystals or the atoms forming ionic bond, this type of elements have such an electronic configuration that they cannot complete their octet uh, uh, by actual transfer of electrons, isn't it? Hence, there is no charge associated with any atom of the crystal. Here, there is no charge associated. In the previous case, one atom was becoming electropositive and another atom was becoming electronegative after gaining an electron, and the one atom was becoming electropositive by losing one electron, and there was an Coulomb's electrostatic attraction between these electropositive and electronegative atoms. So unlike that case, here there is no charge associated with any of the atoms of the crystal. The covalent bond is formed between similar and dissimilar atoms. So this type of bond can be formed between similar atoms or dissimilar atoms. But what is the condition? The condition is each having a deficiency of an equal number of electrons. So a covalent bond may be formed between similar atoms or dissimilar atoms. Only condition is that they should have deficiency of equal number of electrons. They should have a requirement of equal number of electrons in order to complete their octet. When two atoms, each having deficiency of one electron, come so close that their electronic shells start overlapping, the original atomic charge distribution of atoms are distorted and each atom transfers its unpaired electron to the common space between the two atoms, isn't it? So two atoms come closer, two atoms having deficiency of one electron each come close and their electronic shells start overlapping. Their original atomic charge distribution of these atoms is distorted and each atom transfers its unpaired electron to the common space between the atoms. Thus, the common space contains a pair of the electrons which belong equally to both the atoms and serves to complete the outermost shell of each atom, isn't it? So two atoms come closer to each other. They are in the requisite of one electron each to complete their octet. What they do, they come closer to each other, they share one electron each with the neighboring atom, and now these electrons, shared electrons, are the part of both the atoms. They are the part of both the atoms. They belong equally to both the atoms and serves to complete the outermost shell of the atom. This is what is meant by sharing of electrons. The sharing is effective if the shared electrons have opposite spins, isn't it? So sharing is effective if the shared electrons have opposite spins, isn't it? In such a case, the atoms attract each other and a covalent bond is formed. So, in such a case, the atoms attract each other and a covalent bond is formed. Since the participating atoms have the same valence state, this bond is also called as valence bond, isn't it? As the participating atoms have same valency or valence state, this bond is also called as valence bond. So, covalent bond is also called as valence bond. The formation of covalent bond between the two chlorine atoms to produce chlorine molecule is shown in the figure. The uh, electronic configuration of chlorine is again shown here. We have seen it in the previous article. So in order to complete the octet, the chlorine requires 8 electrons in the third orbit, isn't it? It has how many electrons? 7 electrons. 2 electrons in the 3s orbital, 5 electrons in the uh, 3p orbital, and it requires one more electron to complete the octet. So two chlorine atoms come closer to each other to share one electron each and they complete their octet. So these are the unpaired electrons, and now there is a pairing of electrons to form a covalent bond and a chlorine molecule is formed. Similarly, a hydrogen bond is formed between the two hydrogen atoms, or hydrogen molecule is formed between the two hydrogen atoms. So two hydrogen atoms come closer to each other to share one electron each. So a single covalent bond is formed between the two hydrogen atoms. Similarly, uh, water molecule is produced because of formation of covalent bonds between an oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms, isn't it? So oxygen, in case of oxygen, the atomic number is 6, there are atomic number is 8, there are 6 electrons in the outermost orbit. In order to complete the octet, it requires 2 more electrons. So the oxygen shares two electrons with two hydrogen atoms. So it shares two electrons with two hydrogen atoms. Here you can see this oxygen atom. this oxygen atom shares two electrons each with the two hydrogen atoms to form a water molecule, H2O molecule. If each participating atom has a deficiency of two electrons, the atoms may combine to form a double covalent bond. If two atoms having a deficiency of two electrons each, so they may combine to form a double covalent bond. The formation of oxygen molecule is an example of double covalent bond. So two oxygen atoms may come closer to each other to share two electrons each. In order to complete their octet, they form a double covalent bond. In this case, each atom contributes two electrons to the common space. Similarly, formation of nitrogen molecule is an example of triple covalent bond. So nitrogen atomic number 7, in the last orbit there are 5 electrons, 2 electrons in the first orbit, 5 electrons in the second orbit. In order to complete its octet, it requires 3 electrons. So it shares 3 electrons with the 3 neighboring nitrogen atom, and a triple covalent bond is formed between the two nitrogen atoms to form a nitrogen molecule. In this case, each atom contributes 3 electrons to the common space. The number of covalent bonds an atom can form is determined by 8 minus n rule. And how many covalent bonds an atom can form can be determined by a simple rule which is called as 8 minus n rule, where n is the number of column of the periodic table to which atom belongs, isn't it? So n is the number of the column to which that element belongs. For example, oxygen belongs to sixth group. It can form 8 minus 6 is equal to 2. So it can form two covalent bonds. In this way, you can determine how many covalent bonds an atom can form with a simple relation 8 minus n rule. For the formation of stable covalent bond, there should be net decrease in the potential energy. In order to form a stable covalent bond, the potential energy should decrease. The net potential energy should decrease of the system due to mutual sharing of the electrons. This happens when the participating orbital overlap effectively, and also when the vacant electronic states are available in the outermost orbit of each atom. The overlapping is more effective when the participating orbitals are directionally oriented. So overlapping of the orbitals is more effective when the participating orbitals are directionally oriented. Let us see an example. Since the p orbitals are directional in nature, they readily participate in the formation of covalent bond. P orbitals are directional in nature. The structure of diamond is good manifestation of the directional properties of covalent bond, isn't it? So the diamond is an good example of directional properties of covalent bonds. The carbon in the ground state has configuration 1s2 2s2 2p2. Carbon atomic number 6, the electronic configuration is 1s2 2s2 2p2. That is, it has two unpaired electrons in the outermost orbital. Since the difference between 2s and 2p orbital, 2s and 2p orbitals is small, and carbon atom is known to form 4 covalent bond, it is proposed that one of the electron of carbon is transferred from 2s orbital. One electron is transferred from 2s orbital to 2p orbital, 2s state to 2p state. This modifies electronic configuration as so one electron from 2s orbital is transferred to 2p orbital. So the electronic configuration is modified like this: 1s2 2s1 2px1 2py1, 2pz1, isn't it? Thus, in excited state, carbon atom has 4 unpaired electrons. So, in excited state, the second orbital has 4 unpaired electrons. This one, 2, 3 and 4, isn't it? So in excited state, the carbon atom has 4 unpaired electrons. Hence, it is able to make 4 covalent bonds with 4 neighboring carbon atoms, as in the case of diamond. So each carbon atom forms 4 covalent bonds with the 4 neighboring carbon atoms. So it is a tetrahedron structure. Also, all 4 covalent bonds formed by each carbon atoms are known to have equal strength. So these bonds have equal strength. So CCC bond angle is 109 degrees and 28 minutes. So bonding angle is 109 degrees and 28 minutes. So to explain this, it is proposed that each carbon atom in diamond is sp3 hybridized. Why it is called sp3? One electron in the 2s orbital and 3 electrons in the p orbital, 2p orbital. So it is called as sp3 hybridization, isn't it? So to explain this, it is proposed that each carbon atom in diamond is sp3 hybridized and has 4 identical sp3 hybrid orbitals which are oriented in space along the corners of a regular tetrahedron as shown in figure, isn't it? So this is called as a sp3 hybridization. The CCC bond angle is 109 degrees and 28 minutes, isn't it? So each carbon atom forms covalent bond with 4 neighboring carbon atoms. So each tetrahedron is covalently bonded to 4 similar tetrahedrons to produce a 3-dimensional regular network type structure, isn't it? So each tetrahedron is covalently bonded to 4 similar tetrahedrons to produce a 3D regular network type structure. The other examples of covalent crystals are silicon, germanium, alpha strontium, etc., isn't it? So the 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals of a carbon atom oriented along the corners of a regular tetrahedron in diamond. We have studied the in detail the structure of diamond in the previous unit. Now these are the properties of covalent crystals. The covalent bond is a strong bond. The binding energy of diamond is 7.4 electron volts. So they have high binding energy. Covalent crystals are very hard and brittle, like the previous case. They are hard and brittle. Their binding energy is large. They have high melting and boiling points because of high binding energy. They exhibit low conductivity at ordinary temperature, which increases slightly with increase in the temperature. So as there are no free electrons, the conductivity of such type of crystals is low at ordinary temperatures, and it increases with increase in the temperature. So thus we come to the end of the session. So in this session, we have seen what is meant by ionic bond and covalent bond, how these bonds are formed, isn't it? Examples of these bonds and some properties exhibited by the crystals formed by such type of bonds. In the next session, we will study what is meant by metallic bond, hydrogen bond, and van der Waals bond. Till then, goodbye, take care. Don't forget to subscribe our channel, like, share, and comment on our videos, and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you can get the notifications of our new videos. Thank you very much.